welcome to Pet Talk with Lisa Lawrence. The Saskatoon Parrot Rescue is dedicated to rescuing parrots in need throughout Saskatchewan. My guests today are Janet, Brianne, and Laureen. Welcome and thank you for coming. I've got some extra guests here, so can we just introduce those little babies as well?
Well, this is Baby. He's a yellow-headed Amazon, and he's approximately 35 years old. And I've had him for about a year now, and he loves to travel. And
how old do they live for?
I've heard 60 years. So I just had to. He had an actual bonded mate where I had to actually have her put down.
Oh.
She was 45 and had terrible health issues, but we nursed her as long as we could, you know. And then he's of course become my best little buddy now. So
Yeah.
quite enjoy him.
Yeah. And who's this little cockatoo?
This little sweetheart is Bonnie. She's 37 years old. She also had a mate, and we're not sure what happened to her mate, which is why she plucked and mutilated. So she has no feathers on her body. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I've had her for a couple years now, and she's doing really well, despite her lack of feathers.
And how about our Pionis?
Tiki here is 10 years old. We've had her for a year now. She came into the rescue. She also plucks her feathers. It started 4 years ago when the family turned on their Christmas tree, and I guess all the lights just kind of set her off. But she originally really took to my boyfriend, and then I don't know, over the last couple week or so, she's kind of become my bird. Right? Yes. Hi, Tiki bird.
I miss that sound. We used to have a Pionis as well. And so what type of Pionis is this?
This is a white cap Pionis.
Okay. And so one of the things that I want to begin by asking is, when you adopt a parrot, what do you expect when you get one for a lifespan? And I guess what I'm asking is, should you just accept them for the amount of time that you spend with them, or should you put them in your will? What should you do responsibly?
Definitely put them in your will, because that's what we're finding within the rescue. It's not so much, people think of rescues as abuse and stuff like that. We're finding that, I mean, Bonnie will live to be, 50, 60, 70 years. So yeah, definitely have a plan. If you get a parrot, have a plan for the future. So they can transition into another good home with less behavior problems and stuff like that.
I forgot who's on my head. Who's on my head?
That is Icarus. He was actually purchased from the pet store, Petland, before I knew anything about the rescue. He's 2.5 years old. He is a cinnamon conure. He's your typical conure. He's really moody. He can kind of be a jerk most days, but I still love him. He's getting ready to have a good nap on top of your head right now.
Yeah, I've got a nice bird head for napping on. So why do parrots make such great pets?
Cuddle factors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're so entertaining. Yeah, and I mean, when they're bonded with you, you got a buddy for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, you sure do. Yes, that's right. So one of the things that, yes, good boy, that's good. Yeah. So when you, how much time then, if you're saying they make good buddies and they make good pets, how much time do you generally have to spend with your parrot then?
I guess it depends on the species of parrot. Like a cockatoo, like you had, they require a lot of time. Yeah. Whereas Icky, I don't know if
He's out 3 to 4 hours a day usually. Some days more, some days a little less. Depends, what we've got going on. I think ideally is having them out of their cage as often as you can provide for them. But there is definitely some minimums for each species, and that's easily looked up online.
Right. And as you can see, these birds are hand tamed, and that's one of the things that's really important, is to teach the step up. Can one of you show me, maybe you can show me the step up?
Sure. Baby step. Oh, step up. Step up. Step up.
Yeah, I'm going to complain
We call
about
him
that.
Grumpus because he likes to growl. Okay, you want to go back there again? Okay, step down.
And so basically that's one of the first things you have to teach your parrot, is that correct?
Come here. Come here.
Okay.
You need a kiss?
Yeah.
You got a kiss? Got a kiss? Where's your kiss? Oh, another one. Yeah.
Good.
There we go.
And so when you train a parrot, are you allowed to give your parrot corrections or anything negative when training?
No.
Why
No,
not?
We try not to. No, it's just yeah, it's hard sometimes when you got one screaming and biting at you. But no, we like to do the positive.
Because they have memories.
They have memories. Exactly. Exactly.
And yeah,
Yeah, and you don't want a bird that's going to come to you just because it's scared to death of you.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people buy parrots from pet stores or pet supply stores, thinking they're going to, just enjoy this parrot and maybe don't do the right thing because they haven't been given the right instructions.
Right.
So why would they get a parrot from the Saskatoon Parrot Rescue instead?
Well, we don't. What's the proper way of putting this? Just
We offer a lot of like advice and training that the
Yeah.
pet stores don't offer. When I bought Icarus, I went in, I paid for my bird, and I left the store. That was it. They didn't call my landlord. They didn't, do any reference checks, nothing. They just assumed, oh, she knows what she's talking about. Good to go. Whereas with us, you have to submit an application. We have to review the application. We also like to do an in-home visit with the person who's potentially adopting or fostering one of our birds. If the person's too far away for us to go visit them, we'll do a video chat with them, kind of get an idea of what their house looks like. Our application goes over a wide variety of questions. What do you plan on feeding your bird? Do you plan on getting it the proper, yearly vet visits, all that kind of stuff. We also like to ask, what do you plan to do with the bird if something was to happen to you? If you fell gravely ill tomorrow, what are your plans for this animal that
Right.
could potentially live for another 60 years?
Right, exactly.
So
Exactly.
I feel that getting from the rescue just has that advantage of us being able to, help you out throughout the entire life of your bird as well. We're not just like, oh, we sold you the bird, we're done, go away. You can keep coming back to us, ask as many questions as you need.
Right.
We're always there to help.
And you have monthly meetings as well.
yeah, we do.
And that's a great support for parrot people, right? For the
Right.
rescue organization.
Yeah.
So you were talking about food. Can you tell me about the nutrition that parrots need?
We like to have them all, put them on a pellet diet because, common misconception is you feed them seeds. Well, that's not a proper diet. They come in with all sorts of health issues and sometimes plucking issues and stuff like that. So we put them on a variety of pellets. Again, it depends on the bird, what they choose to like. And of course, most of us make our own homemade chop recipe.
What's chop?
Well, my personal one is brown rice, oatmeal, spinach, mixed vegetables, just whatever your bird likes, throw it in there.
And you
then
chop it up?
And chop it all up. And I used to, nuts should only be used as a treat, but for my treat, I take maybe one nut and chop it up really fine, throw it in the chop. That way, even the most pickiest of eaters will
At least try it.
will try it. Yeah. And of course, your veggies and your fruits and
You chop it how big? How big are the pieces that you make your chop into?
the nuts
Or the whole thing?
the whole thing. I don't chop the rice. It's just chop is just kind of
An expression.
an expression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's
Looks
just the
more
nuts.
like
that get-
pudding or like dried
Yeah.
pudding
Kind
kind
of
of thing.
depends on the bird too. Like Tiki here will only eat chop if it is like I have to put it through the food processor
Okay.
and basically make like a bowl of mush for her.
Okay.
Whereas all I have to do with Icky is like I just slice up the bell peppers and I leave them in the long slices and he'll just hold on to it and munch on it. Whereas she needs it in those really fine small chunks because she won't use her feet to eat. So
Okay. All right.
yeah.
And so birds do eat fruit and vegetables.
Lots.
And yeah. And is that a major part of their diet as well?
The leafy greens like spinach and kale should take up a majority of their diet. Things like, apples, oranges, like the fruits side of that should be more sparingly as like fruits are really high in sugars. But yeah, the vegetables kind of eat to their hearts.
Well,
content.
actually, I mean, I grow dandelions all summer long because they're more nutritious than a lot of the greens.
Yeah.
So people think I don't pick my weeds, but I actually have a garden for my parrots. So what size, first of all, what size, well, I guess what size cage would you get for different parrots?
Well, again, it depends on the parrot. Like, most of them spend the majority of their time supervised outside their cages, but big enough for them to be able to wander and play with their toys and
Yeah, kind of like
Yeah.
a rule of thumb we follow is their wingspan and a half
yeah.
is the minimum you should go.
Minimum,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then of course you have to also look at the bar spacing.
right.
Because each bird needs, like for Icky, his cage is 3/4 inch bar spacing. Tiki's is a 1 inch bar spacing. I'm sure Bonnie's is probably a 1 1/4 inch bar spacing. You know, different birds. But if you were to put Icky in a cage that has the bar spacing of like Bonnie's cage, he could potentially get his head stuck or, you know, get himself completely out of the cage.
Right. Yeah.
So
So what size cage normally, like how tall and wide would your Amazon?
It's about a 3 feet wide by a little more than 3 feet, like this way. And it's got to be over close to 6 feet because I can't get him when he gets on top.
Okay, exactly.
And when he gets up there, he likes to stay up there for a while. So, you know.
Well, we're going to be talking more about cages and nutrition and why birds need to be outside of their cage coming up on Pet Talk with Lisa Lawrence after this. We're back with Pet Talk with Lisa Lawrence. We talked about cages in the last part of our show, and now we're going to talk about why our birds don't live inside their cages for a lot of their day. Can I just ask you why we want our birds outside of their cages?
Prevent boredom. Like, you know, picture yourself in a cage for 24 hours a day.
Right,
How bored you'd get. And they're social creatures. They love the social interaction.
right.
So they need to get out and
Right.
spend as much time as possible with their people.
And what about flying? Do they fly in your house?
They don't fly in our house because we have multiple animals, so it's for their own safety. Like, you hear birds flying out the doors, crashing into windows. So it's mainly for their own safety and to take out to shows and that, so they're not flying.
So how do you stop them from flying?
We clip their wings.
Okay, so you
Or they're
take them to a vet and they can clip their
Absolutely.
wings?
Yeah, it should be
Because
done by a
people
professional.
should not be clipping
No.
the wings.
No,
Because if they do, they could clip what's called a blood feather.
exactly. Or they clip them too severe, and instead of just soaring, they'll just crash to the
Right.
ground.
And they could
possibly
bleed to
get
death
injured.
by cutting a blood feather.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So are they messy? Are parrots messy?
Very.
He's not. I have to say, he is really a neat, clean bird. But I do have the 2 African Greys I'm holding right now. One's 75 and the other's 25. And the 75-year-old is very good, but the 25-year-old, if I don't pay enough attention, he will actually poop outside his kennel or his cage to get my attention, because then he knows I come and clean it up right away. But no, he's really clean. You know.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. My parrot, not so much.
I was gonna say, she got lucky. Most parrots
Yeah.
are not clean.
That's right.
Most of them like to make soup, throw their pellets out of the cage. I think
That's right.
we sweep our dining room, I think, 5 times a day, like minimum. We mop twice a day because there's bits of berry and food stuck to the floor, the walls. Yeah.
The windows.
We got a Roomba for that reason.
Yes.
Because the pellets go everywhere.
Yes.
Yes. So one of the things is that people don't understand how noisy parrots can be. So how noisy are parrots?
Bonnie,
Once again, I'm lucky.
Yeah, you're lucky. Bonnie is actually very quiet for a cockatoo. until I was fostering another cockatoo, and the noise level was incredible. Like, we almost had to leave the house. It was that loud. But other than that, like, she has her yelling period. I wouldn't call it screaming, but it is quite loud, and that's her cue. She wants to go to bed. So, yeah.
Yeah.
She can't say bedtime. She goes,
Parrots do have a bedtime.
They do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah.
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 8:30 in our house.
8
That's
o'clock.
about ours. Yeah.
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 8:30.
He puts himself to bed though,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
nobody dare go near the cage because he'll growl. That's I'm sleeping and that's it.
I find that very funny.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the things is we know that they're noisy. So what sort of dwelling or home should they live in?
Acreages are nice.
Yes.
I guess it really depends on the
It
bird.
depends on the bird, too.
How about apartments?
It depends like on the bird too. Like if you get a quieter one.
Yeah, if we have a quieter bird come through, I mean, I wouldn't hesitate to adopt it out to somebody in a condo or an apartment.
And lots of people check with their neighbors too. Like in
Yeah.
apartments
Okay.
where they get yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
But again,
point.
that I would think like a smaller bird. Like I wouldn't want to personally be in a condo or an apartment with a cockatoo or a macaw.
Or a gray.
Or a
Yeah.
gray. Because
Yeah.
even when they're quiet, they can still be, like, a cockatoo's noise level can get over 85 decibels.
Yeah.
So they can actually get to the point where you should have hearing protection.
Yeah.
in.
Well, my African
So-
gray does sirens,
Yeah.
and then I say call 911. So the next thing is, can your parrots go outside, and how?
Well, I take him outside. He's got his little traveling cage, and when it's nice out, he goes out in his traveling cage, and then I have a stand that I set it on, and so he can sit outside when it's nice. I'm very careful because I don't want him getting sick, but yeah, he'll sit outside and he'll sing
Enjoy
and
the
talk
day.
and bark and yeah,
Right, because vitamin D from the sun is very good for them.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of us have outdoor cages too
Yeah.
that we put them in. But if you're gonna have them loose, like even if they're clipped, we
like the
recommend
harness.
a harness because
Yeah.
if
So,
the
like
wind
what Nikki
catches
said
them,
on.
yeah.
So you shouldn't just, you really, when you're wearing a harness though, you have to slowly prepare them to wear the harness.
Yeah, it took me about 4 months to get Icarus into the harness.
And that's another thing that's great about joining the club, is you learn these things.
Yeah, you learn all about the different things. Like, I never would have guessed that you could buy a harness for a bird
Right.
until I became a part of the rescue and learned all that stuff from everybody else here. But yeah, I never would have thought
Right,
I could put a harness on my bird.
right. So, I just saw them on camera. Are there human foods that are poisonous to birds?
Yeah, avocado
Chocolate.
is. Celery's not good for them either.
How about tomatoes?
Garlic.
I
Garlic,
actually
yeah.
don't
Garlic
know
is
about tomatoes. I would have to. What I do is I Google it. If I'm ever unsure, I go to the internet because that's the best place to
Yeah.
find the truth.
Oh boy, and you really do have to be careful
Yeah.
with your birds,
We do.
because the diet can shorten the lifespan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've seen some come through the rescue. They're fed, what is it, Brianne? Pizza, ice
yeah.
cream,
Iced tea,
pepperonis, yeah.
pepperoni, burgers,
yeah.
liquor, whatever we're eating, that's what the bird's eating.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see that because you've taken this beautiful creature and you've decreased its lifespan just because you
kill
couldn't
it
be
with
bothered
kindness.
to.
Kill it
Yeah,
with kindness.
you couldn't be bothered to educate. You know, you got to learn these things. It takes it's a lot having a bird.
Well, and I think that one thing people don't realize is that parrots are not like other breeds, other animal species.
Absolutely not. No.
So, that's one of the things that we have to realize is they're not domesticated like dogs and cats and horses.
Absolutely not. No, they're about one step from the wild. Actually,
They're one
Actually,
step
some
from
are
the
wild
wild.
caught that have come to us. They've taken right from their natural habitat right into our world, which is
That's
so wrong.
right, exactly. So, are there certain cleaning pot products or pots and pans that you want to stay away from when you have parrots?
The Teflon ones. Any really harsh cleaning product. There are some pet safety ones out there that we use. But
We use vinegar and Dawn.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
a spray bottle.
Okay.
Your house
yeah.
smells like a pickle factory after you clean it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Okay.
always boil orange peels and cinnamon after we clean
Yeah.
with vinegar. Just
Yeah.
so it gives the house that nice smell. 'Cause
Right.
With parrots, you can't use like candles or scentsies, so
Yeah.
Right.
they're very sensitive to
Aerosol
smells.
sprays and
yeah.
stuff like that are
Even if you
dangerous.
wear like a strong perfume or cologne, it can be
Right.
hard on them too. So.
Even hairspray or
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Air fresheners for vehicles.
Yes.
You transport your bird in a vehicle and you've got your little
Right.
Febreze on there.
Or even
it's not
toilet
good.
bowl cleaner, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The self-cleaning function on your oven too should not be
Yes.
used.
Yeah.
That's a lot of one that people overlook.
Yeah. So are parrots expensive to own?
Oh, yes.
They can be, yeah.
Yeah, they
Depends
can
on your
be.
vets. And
Yeah.
vet bills would
Yeah,
be the,
because they have
you
to go
know.
to the vet like every
Yeah.
other animal.
Mm-hmm.
And just the amount of fresh food and that. Like we joke because the birds eat better than we do. We have a
Yes.
bowl of soup and they're having strawberries and,
Yeah,
salad
kale and
Yeah.
spinach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So the next thing is how smart are parrots?
Very, very, very smart.
Depending on the species, average intelligence is a 2 to 5 year old. African greys are the more intelligent of the parrot species, but definitely wouldn't underestimate any
No. Yeah,
breed of parrot.
Exactly.
They're all
Yeah.
very intelligent.
So how can the public contact the Saskatoon Parrot Rescue for more information?
We have a website and also a Facebook page. And you can just contact us and leave your number or ask your questions and we'll get back to you.
And if they wanted to foster, they could do the same thing or adopt?
Absolutely. We have an online application for both. So they fill out and Brianne's our intake. So
Yeah.
she goes through all the applications and then we have a meeting and, go through the applications and stuff. So
And it's
We'll
not
go
like
from
you
there.
have all the birds all the time.
we don't. And that's a common misunderstanding too, is people think we have this central facility like the SPCA or something, but we don't. We like to bring them in, do all our paperwork, and then send them out because they need that one-on-one. They don't thrive in a big, room with 20, 30 birds.
Right. It's not going to keep them socialized properly.
No.
Exactly.
So that's how we find it
And
runs the best.
Our foster system is really good too because like we right now have 2 birds with us Quakers that they hate women. So my roommate and I, who's also on the board, we can't handle them. So it's up to, her fiance really is the only one that interacts with them. So it's really important that once we assess the bird, it goes to a home where it is getting that one-on-one interaction because, if we were to keep the Quakers at our house, they wouldn't get the interaction because they don't like women. We can't handle them. We can't interact with them. So
Exactly. I want to thank all 3 of you for coming on the show and sharing your information about these amazing, amazing birds. I think they're a misunderstood species, and
for sure.
I
And
think
not
that
enough education. We need more
Yeah.
we need more
education.
education out
Yeah.
there. That's exactly right. And they're amazing animals. If you do get a parrot, I strongly suggest that you do your research thoroughly and then decide on what type of parrot you would want. And I strongly suggest you go to the Saskatoon Parrot Rescue in Saskatoon. Thank you for coming on our show, all 3 of you. I really appreciate it. And thank you to all of you for coming and watching Pet Talk today with Lisa Lawrence.